My roommate is a princess baby who decided on the first day of school that I would be her servant. She threw my bedding onto the floor and, without my consent, claimed my bed. She ordered me to prepare fresh milk for her every morning before 6 o'clock. At night, I had to help her wash her feet and do her laundry, with her big eyes blinking and her lips pouting. She innocently said, "Your only tasks every day are these. Baby is really easy to take care of." I immediately posted her ridiculous demands on the confession wall. I'm a college student, not an idiot. It would be crazy to listen to her. On registration day, I was the first to arrive at the dormitory and chose a bed by the window. After my parents helped me organize my thing, we bought tickets to visit nearby tourist attraction, which also helped me familiarize myself with the area. After saying goodbye to my parent, I heard someone laughing and chatting inside. I pushed the door open, wanting to greet my roommate, but right away, I saw several piles of bedding strewn across the narrow hallway. The school's uniform blue bed covers had a clear shoe print of about size 34. Lady Bear pillow was kicked to the side of the trash can by the back and forth movement of the roommate. The adorable head of my bear was sitting next to a pile of garbage, covered in grease and dark soft. I quickly picked it up. This was my beloved baby which I had slept with since childhood. How could it end up like this? Who did this? My anger flared instantly as I looked up at my bed. Sitting on it was a delicately dressed girl with pigtails in a Lolita outfit. She was currently lounging on my bed, swinging her legs back dangled off the edge. When she noticed me looking at her, she tilted her head and smiled, saying, "Hello, baby, is Dolores. You can." I interrupted her angrily. "What are you doing on my bed?" Dolores shrank back a little and sweetly replied, "Why are you being so mean? You're scaring baby. Baby just came a little late. And you occupied my bed without saying anything. You're bullying me." "Wow. Who came first? Was occupying her bed?" As she spoke, she pointed to the empty bed and said in a patronizing tone, "There's only one bed left near the bathroom. Baby doesn't want to sleep there, so you can have it." I was speechless. Where did this weird girl come from? I pointed at her and said coldly, "You need to get off my bed right now, or I'll pull you off myself." Dolores looked more aggrieved, as if afraid I would actually come up to hit her. She tiptoed down from the bed. I pointed at my scattered belongings on the floor. "Clean this up and move your stuff off my bed." Dolores stamped her feet like a spoiled child. Her pigtails swayed as she pouted her cute red lips. "It wasn't baby who did this. Baby didn't do any of this hard work. It was baby's mommy who helped clean up. If you have an issue, you can talk to baby's mommy." "Then whose footprints is on my blanket? Why was my bear in the trash?" Dolores was barely up to my shoulder, standing no taller than 1.5 meters. Who else could have made that footprint? Seeing that reasoning with her was futile, I immediately climbed onto the bed to throw her stuff down. Just then, another roommate, Edwina, who had been watching the scene unfold, suddenly grabbed me and tried to mediate. "Daisy, we're all classmates. You should let it go. Look, King's bed is already tidy, and there's an empty bed here. So why don't you just sleep in that one?" I shook her hand off. "What do you mean her bed is tidy? You hit straight." I tittied up first, and she threw my things on the floor while I was away. "If you're so generous, why don't you switch with her? Let her throw your stuff on the ground, and then you'll feel better about being generous to others." I was furious. My parents had advised me before leaving to build good relationships with my classmates in this new environment to avoid unnecessary trouble. I wanted to get along with them. But who knew it would be this unreasonable right from the start? I pushed Edwina aside, climbed onto the bed, and stomped down on Dolores's blanket, frantically tossing her bedding onto the floor one by one. Dolores screamed in fright, covering her ears and backing away, yelling, "How can you treat baby this way? No one has ever dared to treat me like this. You will be punished." "What's all this noise?" The dormitory door was pushed open again, and a girl in glamorous attire, pulling a Louis Vuitton suitcase, entered. She looked at the mess on the floor and said coldly, "Looks lively." The last roommate, Cynthia, arrived as well, looking like an elegant and aloof queen. She had an aura of unintentional authority, and with her expensive outfit, it was obvious she was from a wealthy family. Seeing her, Dolores acted like she had found a savior, taking small, delicate steps to rush into the rich girl's arms while whining, "Help me. She's so scary. She wants to kill baby. Sister, save me." Who, as cold as she appeared, dodged away, saying infuriately, "If she wants to kill you, you should call the police. Stay away from me. Don't get your snot and tears on me." Dolores stood there, stunned, not knowing what to do. In the past, her tricks always worked. Everyone would protect and indulge her, treating her like a baby who needed care and protection. But today, not only did she fail, but she had failed twice. Seizing the moment while Dolores was in a daze, I tossed all her bedding onto the floor. After doing this, I didn't care about her crying and whining like a baby who hadn't been weaned, and I went to pick up my bedding, which had been trampled on. The rich girl glanced at me, then fiddled with her phone for a moment before looking back up at me. After changing into a new duvet cover and bed sheets, I lay down on the bed but still felt a heaviness in my chest from anger. My dream college life was ruined on the very first day by Dolores. The next day, I didn't have any morning classes. I quietly got out of bed at 8 o'clock, planning to go to the cafeteria to buy some food before heading to the library. I have low blood sugar, and if I don't eat something in the morning, I feel groggy all morning. I was trying to be as quiet as possible when suddenly Dolores sat up and loudly complained, "Not letting baby sleep so early in the morning." Her loud voice woke up the other two roommates, who were still in dreamland. One by one, they lifted their head, glaring at the source of the noise. Seeing everyone's attention on her, Dolores rubbed her eyes and said, "Daisy, you're so rude. Everyone else is sleeping, and you're the only one awake." Just as I was about to apologize to everyone, Cynthia yelled at Dolores, "You're the loudest this early in the morning." Dolores wanted to retort, but Cynthia didn't give her a chance. "Shut up and let me sleep." It looked like the rich girl had woken up on the wrong side of the bed. After the ruckus, Dolores no longer wanted to sleep. When I came back from washing up, she was already out of bed. "Sister Daisy, where are you going so early?" "To the cafeteria." Dolores blinked her big eye, looking at me expectantly. "Can you bring baby back some breakfast?" After our unpleasant encounter yesterday, Dolores reaching out to talk to me was her way of trying to make amends. I didn't want to make the dormitory atmosphere too tense, and I thought helping each other could quickly improve our relationship. So I agreed to her request. It was breakfast rush hour, and the cafeteria was crowded. The little wanton shop Dolores wanted to eat at was packed to the brim. So I got her the same crab yellow soup dumplings I was having and bought her a bottle of fresh milk from the supermarket. Our dormitory is on the 6th floor, and there's no elevator. When Dolores saw I hadn't brought her beloved wonons, she pouted in disappointment. "What's wrong with you? Baby wanted wonons, and you couldn't even manage that." She took the soup dumplings and milk, then pouted again, complaining, "Also, Sister Daisy, you woke up a bit too late. Baby's mom prepares breakfast for her at 6 every day, so you need to buy baby's breakfast at that time tomorrow." After holding in my anger all morning, I finally snapped and snatched back the breakfast from her. "If you don't like it, then don't eat it. Who owes you anything? Don't be so picky." Edwina and Cynthia had also woken up by now. Edwina jumped in to mediate. "Hey, no need to fight. Daisy, since you've already gone to the cafeteria, can't you just bring the wonons back?" Here she went again, always taking sides after enjoying the drama. At that moment, I realized I seemed unable to fit into this dorm. Cynthia caught a whiff of the breakfast and poked her head out from her bed. "These dumplings are really good. Give me some. I'll transfer you the money." I was taken aback. I didn't expect the rich girl to be so generous, even taking leftovers from others, and it helped diffuse the situation. My mood warmed up a little. On the first day of actual classes, Dolores wore her Lolita outfit again, dressing herself up like a doll. She wasn't tall, with fair skin and a cute voice, making her quite charming. She fit the typical image of a slender, delicate beauty, and it didn't seem out of place for her to call herself baby. When she entered the classroom, some classmates cheered and admired her. Dolores reveled in this attention, fidgeting with her dress as she chose a spot in the back row filled with boys. Then, amidst their flirting, she began to tearfully complain about her hardships. By the time I arrived in class, I'd already become the bad woman her stories, the one who bullied her with my strength and was unreasonable. The boys in the back row listened with righteous indignation. As soon as I entered the classroom, the noisy environment fell silent, and a thick textbook came flying straight at me. I couldn't dodge in time and got hit in the eye. A sharp pain shot through my left eye, and I crouched down, covering my face, unable to get up. Objects kept being thrown at me, hitting my back and head. The attack was too intense, and the other students didn't dare to come over to help me. I felt both angry and helpless, not understanding why I was being bullied for no reason. In the midst of the chaos, I finally managed to get my phone out and called the police. 5 minutes later, our instructor finally arrived, looking around at the disarray with a frown. "What's going on here? Has the world turned upside down?" With one angry shout, the classroom instantly quieted down. The instructor saw me crouching on the floor, still holding my head. "What are you doing on the floor? Hurry back to your seat." At that moment, someone helped me up, concerned, "Hey, are you okay?" And I instinctively took a step back. Although I hadn't seen their faces clearly, I had heard their taunts. This person was one of my bullies. What were they trying to do? Slap me and then give me a sweet date? Did they think I wouldn't dare to fight back? The instructor saw that I wasn't grateful and said unhappily, "This student is concerned about you. You girls shouldn't be so sensitive. Don't embarrass yourselves here." I was filled with anger and disbelief. I had never felt so strong a desire to drop out. But what did I do wrong? I suffered for no reason. And with the instructor doing nothing, was I supposed to bear all the consequences? Until the police arrived, I didn't dare to act rashly. I needed to protect myself first. I obediently returned to my seat and took out my makeup mirror to check. My left eye was already bright red. It was impossible to hide. This instructor was clearly acting like a bystander. He obviously didn't want to handle my case. He had done this so brazenly. I couldn't imagine how many similar cases he had mishandled before. This time, he was going to be in trouble. To my surprise, Colby sat down next to me. He leaned over and quietly comforted me. "Hey, are you okay? I have some ointment. You can use it." Such a low-level yet effective bullying tactic. Did he really think that by showing kindness at this moment, I would be grateful and accept it? Hell no. 10 minutes later, the police arrived, and the tears I had been holding back finally spilled over. I had just turned 18, leaving my parents to attend college in a different city. I was the cherished little princess at home, and just after starting school, I was already entangled in bizarre situations. When the instructor saw the police, he was shocked, shot me a fierce glare, and then smiled at the officers, saying, "Officers, this is an internal matter at our school. I apologize for the trouble and the wasted trip." I jumped up and shouted. I called the police. I walked tearfully in front of the officers and pointed to my inflamed eye. "I've been bullied on campus and intentionally harmed. I want a medical examination." I identified Colby. At first, he tried to deny it, squeezing the tube of ointment and wearing an innocent expression. "Daisy, I was just caring for you. Why are you being so ungrateful?" The instructor vouched for him, but the classroom had cameras, clearly recording how I was bullied. There were 6 people involved in the incident. After negotiations, they agreed to compensate me for medical expenses, lost wages, and care fees, totaling 100,000 yuan. Dolores sashayed over to me, her skirt swaying, adopting an arrogant, commanding tone. "Daisy, do you really want Colby to pay you 100,000 yuan? The compensation is what I deserve and a punishment for their wrongdoing. I just returned from the hospital, with my left eye wrapped in bandages, looking like a one-eyed dragon, utterly miserable." She pouted and huffed. "You got hurt because it was a punishment for not being kind to you. If you insist on doing this, your retribution will be greater." Baby commands you to quickly return the money to Colby, or you won't be able to withstand the wrath of baby princess. I stared at her and softly muttered, "Psycho." Following that, this incident spread throughout the school. The school forum and confession wall were filled with discussions about it. "Have you heard? Daisy from freshman year, on her first day of class, extorted 10,000 yuan from a classmate. It was just a hit to the eye. For most ordinary families, 10,000 yuan is not a small amount. If I hit your eye and said sorry, would that be the end of it? Clearly, it was intentional harm. Let's reject the victim-blaming narrative. While others pay tuition, she seems to be earning it." At first, there were rational voices speaking on my behalf, but gradually they were drowned out by another wave of comments, clearly indicating the involvement of paid commenters. How is this not a different form of earning tuition? If she can extort money from her classmates, will she do that in the future? The public opinion on this incident escalated, slowly directing the conversation towards a transcational nature. Dolores arrogantly said to me, "Daisy, baby isn't wrong. Your retribution is just beginning, but as long as you're sincere, baby princess will bless you and keep you safe. The price you have to pay is to be my slave." Detailing what I was to do for her every day. Prepare baby's milk powder and 1 Chinese and 1 Western breakfast by 6 in the morning. 2. Prepare hot water for baby's foot bath at night. 3. Stay by baby's side at all times. There were over 10 tasks in total. Was she treating me like a slave? Dolores held her head high, as if she were the most expensive princess. "What baby says is your decree. You must obey it absolutely. If you do these things, heaven will forgive your sins." I sneered and quickly took a screenshot to post on the confession wall. Everyone's attention was immediately drawn to this bizarre post, and the discussion surged past the one about me. "Princess? The Qin dynasty has already fallen. Didn't anyone tell you when China was liberated? Can this princess keep up with the technological development of modern society? Eating this well so soon after school starts." It was just giving her a taste of her own medicine. The post about me included my name and class, and upon finding out, I immediately contacted a lawyer to preserve evidence and sued the poster. After eavesdropping on my conversation with the lawyer, the post mysteriously disappeared, and my account status changed to deactivated. She thought she had it all figured out, but I had already purchased a bunch of marketing accounts to expose the entire story. The attention quickly spread from within the school to the public, catching the attention of the school leaders. They took it very seriously, announcing the matter within the school and personally clarifying the details. Restoring my reputation. My classmates felt they had been misled by the out-of-context content of the posts. And while they were angry, they also sighed in regret. Dolores, at least, quieted down for a while. However, it wasn't long before she couldn't help but start causing trouble again. When I got up in the morning, I smelled a faint odor in the dormitory air. I thought someone hadn't flushed the toilet, so I went to the bathroom to check a few times, but the smell lingered on stubbornly. It wasn't until Dolores crawled out of bed but I saw she was wearing a diaper. "What's going on, Dolores? Were you wearing a diaper? Did you wet yourself?" Dolores shot me an indignant look. "What's the big deal? Our baby wears them like this. Besides, it's a lovely baby scent, not a urine smell." She raised her hand and inhaled deeply, as if savoring it. Cynthia, her roommate, was on the other side and had an even stronger odor. The spoiled princess was already prone to morning grumpiness, and this situation only made her angrier. She stopped trying to sleep and sat there with a dark expression, waiting for Dolores to clean up. But to my surprise, Dolores came out of the bathroom still wearing the diaper. Cynthia, unable to take it anymore, exclaimed, "Aren't you going to change out of that?" Dolores shyly smiled and touched her diaper. "Baby just peed a little. It still feels dry. Mommy says it has to be soaked through to change it." "Cynthia, come feel for yourself. It's not wet at all." Cynthia's eyes widened in disbelief as she grabbed a nearby broom and held it in front of her as a barrier, shouting, "Don't come over. Don't touch me. It's disgusting." Dolores's eyes reddened, And she plopped down on the floor. How can you say that about baby? We kids are just like this. Woo woo woo. While crying, Dolores secretly glanced toward Song Shu's position, hoping Edwina would say something on her behalf. But Edwina was clearly disgusted as well, keeping her head down and pretending not to see. Seeing that no one was siding with her, Dolores took out her phone and called her mom. As soon as the call connected, Dolores's eyes were red, and her voice trembled as she pitifully said, "Mommy, how do I wash the sheets?" Baby doesn't know. Dolores's mom was quite surprised upon hearing this. "Sweetheart, didn't I tell you? We are princesses. We can't do hard labor. It would break mommy's heart. Listen to mommy and let your roommate help you." Dolores straightened her back and held the phone out toward me. "Daisy, did you hear what my mommy said? Come help baby clean up." Dolores's mom continued through the phone. "This classmate, our baby has always been treated like a princess. Since she was little, she has been pampered. Why should you, her roommates, not take care of her?" I couldn't help but laugh at how this family shared the same mentality. I asked curiously, "Auntie, how much can you pay us to do these things for Dolores?" "Oh, it's for money," Dolores's mom replied in a tone that suggested she expected this. "This classmate, you're still a student. Don't be so materialistic. How about this if you wash our baby's clothes and sheets? I'll give you $2. Does that satisfy you?" I sarcastically said. "Just $2? And you expect her to be a princess? I wouldn't even do this for money. At home, you treat her like a princess, but here, she should behave like a university student." Dolores's mom was very angry, stuttering and unable to find words. Dolores continued to hold the phone in front of me, waiting for her mom to retaliate, but I just hung up the call for her. Dolores could only stomp her foot and go wash up herself, looking pitiful. Cynthia and I couldn't stand the strange smell in the dorm anymore, so we went to the library to hide for a bit. Class monitors sent a message in the group chat. "The etiquette team for the sports meet is interviewing this afternoon. Students interested in signing up should prepare a white shirt." I signed up, thinking about heading back to the dorm to prepare, when I received a message from Edwina. Edwina told us to hurry back because Dolores was wrecking the dorm. When we returned, we found the floor was completely soaked. Even more absurdly, my clothes hanging by the bed and my cosmetics on the table were all drenched. Those were all things I needed for the interview. Dolores was squatting next to the gushing faucet, foam bubbling up past her ankles, looking innocent as if she were in a fairy tale, puckering her lips to blow it away. I felt a chill run down my spine. How could this person always do such thoughtless things? I walked over and turned off the faucet before Dolores could start panicking. "Baby, you flooded the dorm. Now let's calculate the damages." My losses were manageable, but the entire set of cosmetics cost several thousand yuan. Dolores, upon hearing that, put on a cute pout, almost losing her composure, and shouted, "Why should baby pay? It's all your fault for not helping baby. It's all your fault. I'll hit you. I'll hit you." Cynthia was more straightforward than me, instantly silencing her. "Dolores, you soaked 3 of my band, totaling over 500,000 yuan. I won't let you get away with this. You either pay up now, or I'll call the police." The air instantly froze. Cynthia usually went out carrying fermented stinky tofu, but I never expected it to be so valuable. 500,000 yuan isn't a small amount for anyone, let alone for college students who haven't entered the workforce yet. Edwina cleared her throat a few times and slowly tried to mediate. "We're all in the... Cynthia's family is well off. And Daisy just got 10,000 from Colby." "Shut up. Just because we're in the same dorm doesn't mean you and Dolores should be the ones to benefit at my expense. Do you want that blessing?" Cynthia slammed the empty basin down. "Daisy, move out. Are you going or not?" "Gladly." I was already fed up with these 2 idiots. As long as everyone's spirits were high, I would feel relieved. Dolores couldn't produce the money to compensate Cynthia's bags right away, but she still had money to pay for my cosmetics. I received her transfer right there. But to my surprise, she smugly said to me, "Daisy, Your clothes can't be worn anymore, and all your cosmetics are soaked. How are you going to go for the etiquette team interview? It turned out her goal was to stop me from going to the interview. That was quite a cost for her, bringing a 50,000 yuan famine upon herself. When I flipped my clothes over, I saw they were covered in coffee and oil stain. I pretended to be angry and anxious, saying, what should I do? The interview is this afternoon. There's no way I'll be ready in time. Then I switched gears and said, baby, you don't know this, but there's a place in the world called a store and a relationship called friendship. I can borrow cosmetics from friends. And I have more than one white shirt. You've worked so hard for nothing and put yourself in huge debt. Dolores's face turned green with anger. She pouted, stomped her foot, and buried her face in her arms on the table, crying. I dug out a new white shirt from my wardrobe and borrowed some cosmetics from Cynthia. With everything ready, I was surprised to see Dolores while waiting for the interview. It wasn't strange, considering she had gone through so much to ruin my thing. It would have been suspicious if she hadn't shown up. We entered together, standing side by side. But she wasn't tall, and even in high heels over 10 centimeters high. Next to me she looked like a little carrot. My tall and slender figure was highlighted by her presence, making me want to give her a compliment. Plus, my makeup today was sophisticated and polished. I had modeling experience, and my expressiveness was outstanding, which fit the etiquette team's requirements perfectly. The interviewers nodded at me with satisfaction and even took the initiative to add me to their contact. Just when I thought I was almost guaranteed to be selected, Dolores strutted over to me, showing off her acceptance result. She got accepted? My notification hadn't arrived yet. My frown deepened as I heard Dolores say, Daisy, didn't expect it, did you? You still can't compare to baby's beauty. Baby's advantages aren't something you can match. At that moment, I also received the interview results. Good news, I was accepted. Bad news, as a backup for the etiquette team. Later, I found out that the instructor in charge of tallying the final results had an issue with me for reporting the incident in his class. To completely suppress me, Dolores had even specially given him a gift. I was silent as I returned to the dorm to pack my things. The thought of finally being able to move out and distance myself from those two oddballs lightened my mood a bit. Since being accepted into the etiquette team, Dolores liked to seek attention in front of me. She pointed at a piece of clothing I had pulled out, saying, Sister Daisy, you actually have the same outfit as baby, but yours is so big that baby could use it as a blanket. I think the excess size is still too big. I really envy you girls who wear L sizes. Baby is too thin. I can only wear children's clothes. She ended by modestly saying, if we're talking about it, the model's sister wears it the best. I snatched the clothes back. Baby, do you know that the model you think looks good as me? The brand specifically asked me to model. You. Dolores looked dumbfounded. I'd been working part-time as a model after my college entrance exam and operated a social media account, becoming a somewhat well-known internet celebrity, frequently receiving job requests. So when Colby injured my eye, I couldn't shoot some ads, which explained the high compensation I was on the first day of school. Cynthia even recognized me and repeatedly confirmed if it was really me through her phone. Although I agreed to move out with Cynthia, I knew her financial situation was beyond what I could compare to. But Cynthia insisted on having the taxi drop us off at a high-end community near the school, pulling me out of the car. This was Cynthia's family property, a 300 square meter flat. She firmly insisted that I stay with her in the apartment, and feeling really guilty, I hugged her, feeling immensely touched. That evening, we cooked a hot pot in Cynthia's spacious apartment and filmed a video about the life of college students sharing an apartment, gained some popularity on the platform. And the next day, it hit over 1 million likes. After leaving the troublesome roommates behind, life became much more comfortable. Once Dolores found out I was a somewhat famous internet celebrity, she created an account for herself. The competition on the platform was fierce. Although she gained some followers, she never really took off. Dolores thought this sports meet would be a good opportunity. So she early on hinted on her account that she would be the team leader for the etiquette team at the university sports meet. She filmed some videos around this theme and claimed she would wear a Lolita outfit at the sports meet to represent the Lolita community. This piqued everyone's interest and helped her gain a wave of followers. Unfortunately, Dolores's Lolita outfit didn't pass during the rehearsal. The reason given was that it didn't align with the sports meet's theme national characteristics. Dolores's eyes lit up as she came up with a new idea. The sports meet was one of the largest events at the university. Broadcasted live, showcasing the school's spirit and style. The school leaders attached great importance to it. At the opening ceremony, Dolores stood at the front, wearing a kimono and sporting a distinctive makeup look that captured attention on screen. I was waiting outside and couldn't believe my eyes. I hurried over to push her back. Dolores lost her balance, and in that outfit, she couldn't take big steps and plopped down on the ground. Daisy, even if you're jealous that baby can be the team leader, you can't go crazy at such an important event. Don't you know that this tarnishes the school's honor? The teacher responsible for this area had obviously noticed what was happening and had already rushed over. Dolores thought the teacher was there to help her and, with tears in her eyes, was about to complain. Unexpectedly, the teacher turned to me and said, "Daisy, you're the backup for the etiquette team, right? The opening is about to begin. Hurry up and replace Dolores as the team leader." I nodded and turned to join the team, but Dolores grabbed me, saying, No, the team leader is baby. Why are you stealing it? Daisy, how can you be so malicious? You want to take everything from baby. The person in charge yanked her away, urging me to join the team early. By a twist of fate, the team leader position returned to me. Holding the school sign, I walked confidently at the front with a smile, smoothly completing the opening ceremony. When I stepped back to check my phone, I discovered that several accounts on the short video platform had already posted my cut. Because I already had some traffic, many netizens recognized me. Among the praises and congratulations, there were a few tattered comments expressing doubt wasn't the team leader supposed to be Dolores' baby. She was so excited to share yesterday. How did it suddenly turn into Daisy? Yeah, I came to watch the live stream to see baby. How did our Dolores baby's position get sabotaged? University. Investigate this matter thoroughly, and ensure fairness and justice for the school. Looks like someone bought Water Army to create a narrative. Cynthia was scrolling through the real-time video on her tablet. I'll help you buy some marketing accounts to clarify. Not yet. I pressed down on the eager Cynthia. I still want to see what she does next. After all, Dolores's previous tricks weren't that clever. This was just her way of making a big deal out of it. She thought she could dominate public opinion and stir up netizens' emotions. Next came the escalation. Sure enough, this incident trended online. Several keywords climbed the trending list, and the righteous netizens were outraged, demanding that the school investigate the matter. As the online harassment against me intensified, conversely, Dolores's account gained massive exposure and attention. Her follower count skyrocketed by hundreds of thousands overnight, and she took advantage of this wave of traffic to start a live stream. During the stream, she subtly hinted at more of my information to incite targeted online harassment. She even revealed that on the day of the opening ceremony, I pushed and ultimately stole her leadership role to prevent her from going on stage. Baby worked hard to earn the position of team leader. It was pushed down by Daisy before the opening ceremony. Baby really doesn't understand why she would do this. Woo woo. In Cynthia's apartment, she opened a bottle of red wine and poured me a glass. I waved my hand, signaling that I had just brewed some tea. We exchanged smiles and gently clinked our glasses. Cynthia asked, "Are you really going to leave it be?" "I'm not. What goes around comes around. I can't just stand there and let her hit me, can I?" Cynthia looked me over seriously. "You've grown a lot since the beginning of the school year. You don't cry at the drop of a hat anymore." I couldn't help but laugh. I knew she was referring to the crazy episode in the dorms. I thought I had shown a wild and unlickable side, but unexpectedly, Cynthia saw through the grievances and confusion in my heart. Before college, I was so focused on studying that I never thought people could go crazy like this once they let loose. But now, it's okay. These things won't break me. They'll only make me stronger. The school took this matter seriously, posting a response on Weibo, stating they would investigate thoroughly. Soon after, the instructor called me to his office. He said solemnly, "You've caused significant losses to the school, and I hope you can mitigate the damage by publicly apologizing to the Loris." I said, confused, "Instructor, have you really investigated this? Why are you blaming me right away?" The instructor sneered, "Investigate what? I'm fully aware of the background. Final list for the etiquette team is confirmed by me. Dolores is the team leader I personally approve. You're just a backup with no qualification to perform. Tell me, if you didn't bully Dolores, how did you end up on stage? You said I was a backup. I could get on stage only because I was stepping in, but you, as the head of this sports meet, shouldn't you investigate how Dolores was chosen when she doesn't meet the requirements for the etiquette team?" The instructor slammed the table. "She knows how to use resources. If her own conditions aren't enough, she can make up for it in other ways." I translated for him. "She went to you and got your help. Instructor, this is bribery." The instructor slammed the table again, shouting, "Who do you think you are to lecture me? If you speak out about this, you'll regret it. You've been causing me trouble since the start of the semester, and now you're opposing me at every term. Daisy, you need to learn to rein in your brilliance and just let these 4 years of college pass peacefully for both our sake. This matter happened because of you. So hurry up and publicly admit it and apologize to the school and the victim." He really pushed the little power he had to the extreme. "Victim? I'm the victim." I pulled my phone out of my pocket, revealing the camera was aimed at the instructor, clearly recording everything he had just said. "Don't you know what's good for you?" The instructor shot up, making a move to grab my phone. I quickly stepped back to avoid his touch. At that moment, there were only the two of us in the office, and I certainly wasn't a match for him. A grown man. If he really tried to forcibly take it, I would have no strength to fight back. The instructor sneered at me, looking determined as he lunged at me to grab my phone. Just then, the office door swung open, and several tall men rushed in, quickly subduing the instructor. The leader was the vice president in charge of investigating this incident. The instructor was dumbfounded, standing there with his expression changing repeatedly. This was originally an internal matter for a university, but since he had just laid hands on me, it could be classified as intentional injury, warranting police involvement. In a complete turnaround from his earlier arrogance, he clutched my leg, crying profusely, "Daisy, you can't leak that video. I beg you, give me a way out." I let out a long sigh and turned my phone to show him the live stream screen. Everything he had just said was broadcast live word for word. The tens of thousands of online viewers were all witnesses. As soon as something went wrong on the instructor's side, Dolores couldn't sit still. To dishonor herself and to solidify the accusation of me bullying her, Dolores released the video of the day I stopped her from going on stage. In the video, I looked menacing as I shoved Dolores down, knocking her heavily. Dolores sat helplessly on the ground, and when the person in charge came over, they scolded her as well and pushed me onto the stage. It seemed as if we had colluded. Dolores appeared even more pitiful, crouched on the ground for a long time, not daring to get up, while I snatched away her opportunity to leave. The video caused a massive uproar. What? Am I seeing this wrong? What is she wearing? If I were Dolores' sister, I'd have to hit her. I knew it. Daisy is such a dignified person. She must be innocent. The incident turned around instantly, and the school also posted a clarifying Weibo, restoring my reputation. Those who had previously supported Dolores felt betrayed by her and began to attack her even more fiercely. Dolores herself couldn't understand why she was the victim in the video and why she ended up being the target of criticism. Her attempts to go online and play the victim were futile, and even after a week, netizens continued their campaign against her. Even Edwina, who had always sided with her, could no longer tolerate the pointing and whispering she faced while being with her and applied to change dorms, gradually distancing herself from Dolores. After the short holiday, upon returning to campus, I saw the long-missing Dolores emerge from behind the gate, brandishing a gleaming weapon as she charged at me. With university students returning, security was heightened. And soon the police noticed something was wrong and quickly subdued the small chicken like Dolores. She was restrained, still screaming, "Daisy, it's all your fault. Ever since I met you, baby is no longer baby. The princess is no longer a princess. I want to shark you and turn you into sashimi." The police questioned her. "What's your name? And why are you wielding a knife to hurt someone?" Dolores tilted her head, biting her finger, and said sweetly, Baby forgot. Police uncle, I'm still a baby. So, let baby go." The police officer had an arch expression, but noted that she looked like a cognitively impaired older minor due to her attire. The officer said serious. After examining her ID, it turned out she was actually 2 years older than her classmate. Yet she still called them sister and brother every day. After a round of questioning, Dolores revealed that her mother was the one advising her. Dolores had previously reached out to Colby. But Colby, having learned from past experiences, was no longer willing to trust her easily. Unsurprisingly, both mother and daughter were sentenced, and the school expelled her. Did she really just ruin herself like this? Cynthia watched the increasingly outrageous developments, her smile nearly twitching. Dolores started off with debts and a tarnished reputation, and now she was in jail. This smoke-free battle had come to a definitive end. Some people find joy in doing what they think are clever things. You might think they're pitiful, but they are actually enjoying themselves. Outside, the sky darkened, and a thunderclap sounded as heavy raindrops pounded against the window. Just like my mood at that moment refreshing.